Good evening. This is the regular meeting of the Administrations and Public Works Committee, June 23rd. We have a quorum, and could we get approval of the minutes of the the June 9th meeting?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any additions, corrections? Not all in favor? Any opposed? All right, Alderman Burrs, you're on for our first item.
Do we have bills listed? I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure they're online, but
They were emailed.
but we don't have hard copy.
I didn't see a hard copy.
I had some major computer issues today, so I really,
You had a copy for Alderman Rainey?
no way.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I ask your approval of A1, City of Evanston payroll through June 1st, 2014, in the amount of $2,728,490.14. I also ask for your approval of the City of Evanston payroll through June 15th, 2014, in the amount of $2,690,974.88. And I ask for your approval of A2, City of Evanston bills through June 24th, 2014, in the amount of $3,322,534.63.
Let's get a second on the
Payroll first?
payroll first, and then,
Okay.
okay, it's been moved and second on the payroll. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I want to give Alderman Rainey a couple of minutes to look at the bills list before we move on to that. If anybody else needs to look at it, it was emailed to us.
Yep.
Okay? Yes. Alderman Rainey.
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah,
All right, fine. All right, it's been moved in second, the approval of the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Alderman Rainey, 3.1.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair and Committee, I move that we recommend the City Council authorize the manager to execute an agreement to continue maintenance services for Sherman Plaza at a charge of $115,000. The agreement originally approved in 2006 is for August 23rd, 2014 through August 22nd, 2015. This money is from the parking fund.
It's been moved in second. I see no lights. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Grover?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of 3.2, which is a purchase of a fence for the Sherman Avenue parking garage from Custom Built Commercial Fence Corporation in the amount of $24,719.
Is there a second? Okay, are there questions, concerns? See no lights. Is there a presentation on that or no?
Neither one.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good evening. This is an issue that's come before you previously, largely on the matters of safety and concern about those individuals who might want to bring harm to themselves on top of the parking garage. This had remained a concern with the Sherman Plaza residents and Alderman Fisk. A group of us went to the top of the garage a little while back and took a look, and based on what I saw, I was concerned not so much for those who might want to bring harm to themselves, but those who might be up there who don't want to bring harm to themselves, who are either using skateboards or as kids do, taking a nice look at the view. We've got some pictures, and maybe Cindy, we can just quickly go through them to give you a sense of why don't you just go ahead and as you can see, the existing parapet is about 4 feet up. Next slide. And you can see it goes the entire perimeter of the garage up there. Next slide. It's a long way down. Next slide. The fence that's there is the fence that we're proposing that would then go around the perimeter. It's about a 6-foot fence. Next slide. You get a sense of Mr. Voss.
Not your best picture ever. Just saying.
But to give you a sense of what we're after, which is to keep individuals off the parapet, either purposely or not. If individuals wish to climb over it, they're likely going to climb over it. And I think the issue there is this fix proposed is one that I think will help keep safe those who are not looking to wish to bring them harm. Hopefully will be discouraging for others, and I think is significantly less than the cost we were talking about before. So here's a couple additional slides, Cindy. You get a sense of what the interior spaces look like. There is a little bit more of a barrier there, largely decorative, however. Next slide. And then I think that's it. So happy to answer any questions.
Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Bobkowitz. The pictures help because the specs for the fence said it was a 42-inch fence to be installed 30 inches above the concrete wall, but it looks like it's really more like a 72-inch fence to be installed extending 30
Mr. Voss is our
inches
subcontractor here. I'll let
above
him.
the concrete wall. And then we discussed earlier that we would also put signs up if they're not already there.
What would they say,
Good
Joe?
evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Rick Voss, Parking and Revenue. What they're talking about is, you see about approximately where my knees are, the fence will start there. You have to have a gap, it'll be attached, and it's allowing so there's any drainage or foliage or things that fall between that can be cleaned out. So basically all we're doing is we're extending it to the height of where I'm standing, but we're starting at approximately 30 inches from the actual pavement level. So we attach it to the wall, and then we anchor it a little bit so we don't disturb the concrete too much.
And then the issue with the signs was really just about risk management and making sure that we've covered our bases in the way of reducing our exposure. And I don't know what the signs would say. I'm just interested in managing this risk, which is what the fence is getting to.
And we've talked about signs. I think we've also have been a little bit of a loss as to the precise wording. However, we will figure out what seems most appropriate and go from there.
Okay. Alderman Burris and then Alderman Rainey.
Thank you, Chair Holmes. I'm not in support of this fence, and it looks like there's a double ledge, correct? So there's the white ledge, and then there's the red ledge, which is higher than the white ledge, if I'm looking at the depth correctly. So you really have to want to be up there. You're not going to accidentally fall over if you're skateboarding, unless you're skateboarding up there. Even if you ran into the wall, you have to want to be up there. So I'm not sure that putting that fence is going to stop anybody that wants to be up there dangling their feet over. They will climb the fence and then sit on the ledge. So unless we plan to put up fences everywhere and stop anybody from doing anything we possibly can think may want to harm themselves, or, you know, I just think we're going such to the degree of being overly afraid, risk intolerant. This just doesn't make any sense to me.
And Madam Chair, Alderman Burris, I put my name on this because I'm the one coming to you as your city managers thinking that this is an issue. I think the staff has grappled with this for as long as the garage has been there. My reaction in walking this with Alderman Fisk and the police department and Mr. Voss was that we just needed to do this, that I was very uncomfortable and felt that leaving it as is was not in the best interests of the city of Evanston. So I respect, obviously, Alderman Burris, where you're coming from. I think this clearly is a judgment call, and I'm providing you my best judgment, and that is to move forward with the fence.
Can I, so how long has this garage been up again?
2006.
2006.
So
And-
18 years.
And the garage before that was up 40 years, 30 years? 30 years. And in that period of time, for both of those garages, have we had any accidental falling off of the garage? I understand that people have taken their own life, which is awful, but I have not heard of any accidental falls from the garage. And please correct me if I'm wrong, not that I'm aware of everything that happens here, but is anybody aware of an accidental falling off?
No, I don't believe we are.
So it seems like we're trying to come up with we have a solution that we want to put up and we're looking for a problem. I'm not sure that there's a problem. We haven't had an issue. So again, I feel like we're coming up with solutions for no apparent reason, but there's not an issue. We've not had any problems with people falling off or hurting themselves, and I'm not sure that the fence is going to help.
And Alderman Burris, members of the committee, from time to time, I think we're called upon to make judgments before there are issues. And again, that's why I'm the one making the presentation this evening, because it's my professional judgment that this is not a condition that we should continue. And ultimately, it's up to the city council to decide. But I felt it was important enough to bring to you this evening.
Are we going to then put it on the other garage on Maple as well?
If the council wishes to move forward, then yes, that would be our committee. We
Well,
thought we would
why
start with this.
wouldn't we have both of them if it's such a huge risk, if we're so concerned? And are we going to put it on, do something on the garage on Church Street as well? We might as well put these fences on any high possible building that someone could get to. I don't know where it stops, is my point.
And Alderman Burris, I think that's just a struggle that we have. And I think that in my best professional judgment, I think that we are at risk as a community leaving it the way that it is. And I wish it wasn't that way. As you said, it's been the current condition for a long time. It certainly could remain that way. But I felt it was important to come back to the council with this recommendation.
Maybe one of the differences, Alderman Burris, might be the concern from the neighbors at Sherman Plaza as well. I don't know if I received emails. I don't know if you received it or not, but some of the, I think it was Mr. Goldman, I believe.
He's the head of
Goodman.
the homeowners
who had
association.
sent an email about the residents being concerned about looking out, seeing the kids play up there and that kind of stuff. So maybe that's one, I'm just saying maybe that's the difference between that and Maple and Church Street.
I am so glad you brought that up, and I agree with you 100%. I would think it's really not a risk issue, and it's really more of just a resident neighbor concern in trying to get people not to be up there. So I would agree with you. I don't think it is a risk issue, and it's really about resident concern. I'm so glad that you brought that up, Alderman Holmes.
And Alderman Burris, members of the committee, let me make very clear. I am here as the city manager of Evanston making this recommendation, period.
Alderman Rainey, your light was on.
And I'm voting against it also because I think it's a recommendation that should not be coming from you, because I think we're all smarter than this. What are we going to do about our lake? We have this lake where people drown themselves, where people play foolishly in the lake, where people swim off the rocks, where people do all sorts of things. It's just going too far in one instance, I think. We put up a sculpture over our Maple garage, which I argued against. When I see it, it's a very interesting sculpture. But it is a sculpture about somebody teetering on the brink of falling off of a ledge. There is no way this fence is going to prevent anybody from doing anything. If someone wants to jump off a high, tall building, they will just go to another tall building. So while we might feel that we're saving somebody, we're really not. We're just making it less convenient for them to jump here. And I, like Alderman Burris discovered in asking you questions, nobody has accidentally fallen off Sherman Plaza or any other, I guess, any other. It's just such a huge waste of money, and there's no end in sight. If we're going to make this, if we're going to install this as a safety precaution, we have an obligation to go citywide, every building that the city owns, and then we need to pass an ordinance making certain that every private garage, that every private building that has access to the roof has a 6-foot fence. I think we do. Otherwise, we're being disingenuous. Why should we protect people and not make everybody else protect them? It's only a fence. So I'm voting against it.
Alderman Fisk wants to make a comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This isn't an issue so much about attempted suicides on this location. It's about kids playing up there, sitting on the edge of the parapet, throwing things off down onto the sidewalk in a major onto Davis Street. So there's some concern for folks that are walking on the street and who might not see something flying off that roof. The concern that was raised by the folks at Sherman Plaza was because this is what they observe. They're not affected by it directly, but they can see it, and they raise the issue to the city. So I think it's incumbent upon us to certainly address that. There's a great deal of skateboarding that goes on up there. It's a nice place to hang out. The folks that monitor the garage aren't always there to do that. So if you can imagine sitting up there and dangling your feet off the edge of that, it's easy to imagine kids playing and an accident happening. So we want to try to avoid that. And that's really the purpose of this. I don't know that the Maple Avenue garage is the same sort of attractive nuisance as this one is, but it certainly could be. But I think this is definitely an accident waiting to happen to some of our youth, and I don't want to see that happen.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey and then Alderman Burst.
If you think for 1 minute that a chain link fence that is going to be 40 inches or whatever from the floor to a total of 6 feet is going to prevent anybody from throwing something onto Sherman Avenue or to Davis Street, it's just not going to help it. I could do it. Anybody could do it. Chain link fence doesn't prevent people from. This is a quote unquote neighborhood issue for people who live in tall buildings. And if there were unruly skateboarders in front of my house, I and my neighbors would be out there controlling it. We would be calling the police. We would be talking to their parents. We'd be chasing them home. We'd be doing those kinds of things. But here, I see no difference. They need to police that if it's bothering them. Or call the police. Get the cops over there. We pay standard parking. Is this standard parking, the people who oversee this garage? Have you ever seen the bills list, what we pay standard parking every month for all the garage? It's a fortune every month. Make sure that they're up there policing that. Don't they have cameras up there? Do we have a camera up there, Ricky? Mr. Voss?
There are cameras up there, and also staff does make routines. In fact, as of if you've looked at the memo, as of even since this report went out, they've gone up there and escorted children, teenagers off the roof. So they actively attempt to keep people off the deck up there.
Okay. It seems to me we've got it covered.
Okay, Alderman Burst.
Alderman Rainey was saying the exact same thing. If it is about litter, I think it's actually more of a thing that you'd want to throw it over the fence, but I don't think that's going to stop the litter or throwing things out. And again, this is resident driven, so I would assume that the next one that we're going to get is from Alderman Braithwaite, and for the garage on Maple, I'm assuming your residents are going to be up next, so I expect you to be coming forward if you really care about people getting things thrown on them from that garage.
Well, I do care about people
Okay.
throwing things, but I have not received any complaints from any of my residents. So,
So,
I
well,
won't be coming
Optima overlooks
requesting
it.
for, yeah, I won't
Okay.
be coming forward to request that.
You will be?
Will not.
Okay, I just want to make sure that if you're a resident, different parts of the city, obviously, and so I just want to make sure that this, you don't think you'll request, maybe other people in other wards will come and request it for the garage in your ward. So,
And Madam Chair, Alderman Burris, let me reiterate one last time. I'm making this recommendation as your city manager. I believe the city is at risk. The council may disagree. This is not because of a neighborhood association. This is because I went up there as the chief executive officer of this organization, saw this condition, and felt it was unsafe. That is the only reason I'm here. This is not the residents. This is not other staff. This is me.
and I think our comments are, I know from Alderman Rainey and myself, is where does that risk end then? So is it the other garages? And I think Alderman Rainey's point about the beaches and people are out playing in the beaches and on the rocks. It's where do we say enough, is my point.
And the answer, quite frankly, is it doesn't end. We employ lifeguards, we employ a police force, we employ a fire department, and the reality is it doesn't end. And so what I think we try to do, and what your staff tries to do, is to put parameters around it to the best of our ability. And I'm here this evening to tell you I believe this is something we need to fix. And the council's prerogative is to disagree. But I felt strongly enough about this that I asked the staff to gather the information for me and let me present this, because I knew this was the kind of conversation we were likely going to have, and I wanted to make sure that the city council understood, as the individual that you hire to manage these risks citywide, that this was something that I felt was important to address.
Alderman Rainey?
I promise, last comment. City manager, I would rather take the $36,000 times 50, whatever it's going to cost us to fence in every high space, and build the best skate park that money can buy, so that the skaters wouldn't be up on that, on the top. The only reason they're up there is because it's an open space and they can use their skateboards. That's where I think the money would be better spent, not in putting a fence up, because the fence is not going to prevent skateboarders, and it's not going to prevent trash going over. I mean, it's just not going to prevent either of those two things.
And Alderman Rainey, just so the record's clear, trash is not an issue in my mind. It's only about the safety of the individuals up there. That's all. Trash is trash, and I agree. If someone wants to throw something over, they're going to throw something over.
And
But this is the impact of being up there and seeing how easy it was to do harm is the reason I'm here. And if the council disagrees, then I've discharged my responsibility as your city manager by bringing it to your attention.
well, stupid people cost the city a lot of money all the
Every
time.
single day.
All the time.
Every
all the
single
time.
day.
And they're a huge problem. And if people are going to sit on the ledge at that garage, they're going to go to a ledge of, if sitting on ledges is their thing, they're going to find another ledge to sit on. And I'm thinking about St. Francis Hospital and, the Evanston Hospital and every other garage. I mean, there are garages all over. I mean,
And we just don't own those. No. Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to present the issue.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any more lights. Any more comments? It's been moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay. 4-1. 4-1. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean,
1-4 and 4.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. I know, I just heard that.
Okay. Next item. Could I have the light, please, Dave? Thank you. A3.3, approval of the contract to the L. Marshall Incorporated for the Lorraine H. Morton Civic Center Boiler Room Building Roof Replacement Project, bid 14-38. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the Civic Center in the amount of $36,987.16. Okay, it's been moved in second. I don't see any lights, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Alderman Brethwaite.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item A 3.4, approval for the Sherman Avenue streetscape and street resurfacing contract with ALAM Concrete Contractors in the dollar amount of $578,875.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman,
I ask for your approval of A 3.5 for the approval of the single source purchase of ambulance power load system and Power Pro XT cot from Stryker Corporation in the amount of $36,531.50.
it's been moved in second. All in favor? Alderman Rainey.
I just wanted to point out that the Police and Fire Foundation is going to pay for a second one.
Oh, great.
I think that's good news. Is that correct?
One clarification, Greg Kleiber, Fire Chief, Chairman Holmes, members of the committee, it's not the Evanston Police and Fire Foundation, but
Fire.
the Evanston Foreign Fire Tax Board.
Foreign, I'm sorry, I knew that.
Right.
I just came up.
So I want to thank them,
No,
too.
really, that's very good. Right.
Great. Fantastic. So we'll have two. Very good. Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No,
Oh,
Rainey?
oh, Rainey, oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, approval of vehicle purchases for 2014. We are going to ask the council approval to allow for the city manager to make 9 vehicle replacement purchases for a total of $534,046.30 as follows. A recycling vehicle from RNOW Incorporated in the amount of $241,148. Ford vehicles from Curry Motors in the amount of $273,539. And Nissan Rogue from Autobarn Nissan in the amount of $19,359.30. This is from the Equipment Replacement Fund.
Is there a second? It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just to point out, the Nissan issue, I believe they're going to be providing additional kinds of commercial vehicles. I mean, they might not look like commercial, but they are, because of their ability to expand into the Howard Hartree building. So, I mean, that's a good thing. They're going to be able to take on more, a different line of cars.
Very good. Alderman Grover.
Madam Chair, I move approval of A 3.7, which is a contract for the purchase of water meter purchases in the amount of $73,175 from Water Resources Incorporated.
I have a question. In terms of, these the same water meters that we're replacing that we've been doing for the last year and a half or 2 years? Is it the same type? That's what I'm not getting. I couldn't get this clear as I read it.
Madam Chairman, my name is Laura Biggs. I'm Superintendent of Construction for the Utilities Department and members of the committee. The water meters that are being purchased under this contract are from the same company, and they're in the same line of water meters, but it actually has a different register head. The register heads that we had purchased, some customers were having some difficulty reading them because they're digital display, and so these are a simpler register head that has an analog display more similar to the types that we've always had installed. So we're going back to this. It's actually a slightly less expensive meter.
So when you say the customers, I sort of read that. I
Okay, so residents, if they call in and they're concerned about their water use, our staff will instruct them, go look at your register head, and, and they'll tell them how to find a leak. These require, the ones that were installed under the automatic meter information system actually require a light source. They're solar powered, so you have to have a fairly bright light in order for the LCD display to pop up the reading. And you can do that with a flashlight, but that's a lot more complicated in a basement than if you just have an analog display that's easier to read. So the register heads we were getting under the AMI project were actually, in a lot of respects, nicer, except for this one issue that we didn't anticipate.
But I thought we were moving all of the meters outside so that we wouldn't be necessary to go in the basement.
That's the meter information unit that transmits the read from the water meter to the radio system. This is just the water meters themselves that are metering the water. And those are all, we try to get those inside so that they're protected from the weather.
Oh, okay. Okay. Director Stonebeck.
So the AMI program was to replace the reading device outside. This is the meter that's still inside the home. So we replaced some meters as part of that program, but there's 14,400 customers who replaced all the MIU units, but we've only replaced, I think, like 400 meters. We're asking to increase that in a change order coming up where we get another 400 or 350. But so the major part of the other program was replacing the box that's on the outside wall, not the meter inside the home.
Right, so with I think it's what is it? A4. Well, then we'll sort of answer the question that Mr. Janad asks us all the time about the readings. I mean, oh, okay, I'm just asking. Okay. All right, thank you. It's been moved in second. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item A5, Resolution 43-R-14, adoption.
No, we got to get to A4 first.
Did I skip? Sorry.
Yeah, let me do A4.
All right, go ahead.
I know. I'm not doing a good job. The approval of change order number 1 for automatic meter information systems project RFP 13-04. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute change order number 1 for the automatic meter information systems with Water Resources Incorporated with a contract. The amount decrease of $924.50. This change order will extend the contract by 131 days to November 21st, 2014. Been moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now, Alderman, now it's your turn.
All right. Madam Chair, I'd like to move item A5, Resolution 43-R-14, adoption of the City of Evanston Freedom of Information Act policy. Staff recommends City Council adoption of the resolution authorizing the City of Evanston Freedom of Information Act policy.
Alderman Burrs.
Yes, this is actually a question for Mr. Farrar. In section number 3 of this, it has, of the resolution, it has City Clerk Rodney Green and Deputy City Clerks with their names. Should it just be the titles and not the specific names? Because if there's turnover, change something, so instead of, then we have to do another resolution? I'm just looking for advice on this.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Grant for our Corporation Counsel. This policy itself is organic. It will keep evolving as a natural course of business. So we just put the names in the resolution, but it will constantly keep up and cycle internally. This really, the virtue of this resolution is that it codifies the policies itself. The officers and the identifications are a component that flows along with it.
Great. I just wanted to make sure that, if there's changes that we're going to be coming back anyway. So thank you.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Burris, I think, is
Yes,
that you? Yeah.
I asked for your, to move A6. Staff recommends City Council adoption of Resolution 46-R-14, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an intergovernmental agreement with Evanston Township High School, District 202, for the staffing of 2 police officers at the high school as school resource officers, and for ETHS to employ a community and external affairs coordinator to work on vocational training activities.
Is there a second? Second. Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe Deputy Chief Barnes is here to answer a couple questions, and mine is really not a question, but perhaps acknowledgement that the past year of operating under really our first intergovernmental agreement for this has worked out, I think, rather well for both parties. And what would you expect would be our plan and objectives going forward, thinking back to how well it's worked in the last year?
Good evening, Madam Chairman and committee members. Well, the officers will continue to be a visible presence at the school and also be there to continue to build the rapport with the students during school activities and extracurricular activities. They also attend the weekly threat assessment meetings as well as other staff meetings to be a resource for the dean, safety personnel, and the other school resource officers in the other district. The goal is also to reduce recidivism and increase mediation as opposed to just arrest. Also, it helps build positive interactions because the students see them regularly in the hallway and they get to interact with them during classroom settings and sporting events and other events. One of the key significant pieces would be the intelligence and information sharing that has been gained from this meeting with the SROs that they attend with the staff. At one point, information was shared that another member from a community was coming in with some weapons to have a shootout, and so that information was shared at the police department during our deployment meeting. And later on that evening, a traffic stop was initiated, and we were able to use that information to make arrests, and a gun was found. Also, they continue to be a presence during the summer.
So they're still on the job because of summer school
Yes.
right now? Great.
There's no plan to change officers. There'll be the same officers this coming up school year, or do you know?
So far, there are no talks about that.
Changes.
It's possible, but just not yet.
You know, consistency is so important. That's why I'm asking.
Yes.
I think they've been very effective.
I think so too, yeah.
And then Amadou, what's his last name? Drame
Drame.
has been just a wonderful resource for all of us, I think, at the high school, is as the counterpart under this agreement. So.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. It's been moved and second. All in favor? Any opposed?
I'm sorry, of Resolution 47R14, authorizing payments relating to the fiscal year 2014 capital improvement plan, project expenditures up to $11,197,000 be reimbursed by the subsequent 2014 GO bond issuance.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Grover?
Madam, which is Ordinance 74014, authorizing the city to borrow funds from the Illinois EPA Water Pollution Control Loan Program for the construction of large diameter sewer rehabilitation on Cleveland Street, and it authorizes us to borrow up to $253,000.
Is there a second? It's been moved and second. Are there any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A9, Ordinance 69-04, 2019-0-14, increasing fines for using mobile telephones while operating a motor vehicle. Staff recommends City Council adoption of Ordinance 69-0-14, amending the Evanston City Code subsection 10-3-13D, which increases the fine for using a mobile telephone while operating a motor vehicle from the current $50 fine to a $75 fine. This is for introduction. It's been moved in second. Any comments? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item A10, ordinance 86-0-14, increasing fines for riding bicycles on sidewalks in certain business districts. Staff is recommending City Council adoption of this ordinance, amending the City Code's subsection 10-19-10E, which increases the fine for riding a bicycle on the sidewalk in central business district designated as D1, D2, and D3, and any other district where signs prohibiting sidewalk riding are posting from the current $15 to $25 fine. This is for introduction.
Second.
Alderman Rainey, I'm sorry. First then.
I'd like two pieces of information. One, I'd like to know the number of bicycle accidents or incidents on sidewalks. That's one. And number two, the number of fines that we've issued.
Okay, and
I think this is a bigger problem than people playing on tall buildings. It is very scary being in areas where it's, and I don't mean in residential areas, but in downtown, along the side streets, on Howard Street, it's especially scary because you don't hear them coming. And so I'd like to have that information. Not right now, but by our next meeting.
I'm trying, Alderman Rainey, along those same lines, I am concerned, I can't remember, I thought I referenced it in terms of talking about the possibility of mandatory license for bicycles, and the reason why is because by the time, say, a resident would call the police, the bicyclist is gone, so you've got to have something to identify, and I'm thinking that licenses is one of the ways to do it. Now, I understand that there's a voluntary license process, but I'm talking about where everyone will be, you should have a license on your bicycle, so that when you drive in front of my car, and, without stopping at the stoplight, I ought to be able to write down the license number and report that to the police. I just think that that's part of what we need to find out, how that's going to work. Alderman Brathwaite.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just had a little question just in terms of the enforcement. I mean, is this something that we're just going to have on the books, or are there actually going to be, officers going around on bicycles looking to enforce this particular ordinance?
Well, they're supposed to be enforcing it now, and I think that they do write tickets.
There are a lot of things we're supposed to enforce.
I understand that, but I'm saying...
Don't get me started on that.
Yes, but
Okay.
you have to understand that by the time the policemen get there, sometimes the bicycle is already gone. That's why I'm saying you have to have some kind of reference to give the officer to be able to enforce. That's my whole point. Any...
Well, that's why I asked the question, find out how many tickets we do give.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to get the information that
okay.
Alderman Rainey requested and give it to everyone.
Alderman Rainey, can you read? You wanted number of fines?
Oh, I thought you had the, I
I
want
do
to know
have
the
it.
number of tickets we've given to bicyclists.
Okay.
And also the number of, what was the other one? Incidents.
And accidents or incidents.
Okay.
And tickets and incidents are going to be different because,
Yes.
surely we've had tickets where there were no incidents.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
City Manager, did you want to comment or?
Only that we do directed enforcement pretty regularly. We send results to the council on a regular basis. We'll continue to do that.
Okay. It's for introduction, so just go ahead.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, A11, hold on just a minute, Alderman Burst, we have a speaker, Jane Evans.
Thank you.
Good evening. I am Jane Evans. I live at 813 Gaffield Place, which is about a block from where this restaurant is going. I was unable to be at your last meeting, so I was watching it on the video, and I am here to agree with Ann Rainey's request, or at least suggestion, that there needs to be a tiered liquor license system. I don't think anybody who lives in Evanston didn't realize that there wasn't one. I think that was a really rude awakening for all of us. Many of us have lived in this community when there was no liquor available, and so I could have sworn, although I've been told not, that there was a time when you could only have liquor with food. I do remember it because I remember wanting a martini and being unable to have one unless I ordered a meal. So I know that it is true. But that being said, I really believe that it's very important that we take a look at all of these things, and also note from the last meeting, there was a comment about Noyes Street in regards, suggesting that it may be similar to Sheffield downtown. There was also a conversation about Union and about the commonness of these two restaurants. My family frequents both of them, and they are not the same. And they're not the same because of their location, because of the demographic of who's using these restaurants at this time, but more importantly, because of their location. And I just want to read something because I don't think I sent this to everyone. My family has thought long and hard on the subject of a liquor license for DMK, and we consider DMK as a fast food establishment. It's delicious fast food, but it is fast food just the same, and it is a restaurant that we do frequent. We have no problem with beer and wine, but we feel very strongly that that tiered system of it must be with food is critical. We're in a primarily residential neighborhood. It's a mixed community, our little Noyes Street community, and we consider the shops on Noyes to be part of that community. And a restaurant serving a beer with a burger is very different than a bar that happens to have food available. And we want to continue to have DMK as a restaurant in our neighborhood and not a bar. Food must accompany any beer and wine sales, and we are opposed to hard liquor of any kind at this restaurant. We are so close to the L, which is another concern about liquor sales, and without food. And if there's going to be taps, we also would request that there be a limit on the number of taps that there can be, because to be honest with you, we do not want a world of beer on Noyes Street. And in terms of the L, we don't want a keg on Noyes Street either. We believe, and this is the thing that is very concerning, and it's the reason that I'm standing up here, we are opening up a very slippery slope, because on that street there are two restaurants that have been part of the community for many, many years, D&D Dogs and Rolling in the Dough, that have already requested a liquor license because they too would like it to have a level playing field or a level business field. So I think that as you address this as a committee, you have to think long and hard about what exactly you want to do in terms of this process. And lastly, this is a neighborhood that we already struggle with issues relating to drinking. And we just want you to understand that our objections come from a not revisionist history, but something historical that we go through time and time again. We are a very tenuous community in regards to liquor. And so I think that when you think about what you're going to do in what we deem a neighborhood, you have to really consider that. because this isn't downtown. This is a neighborhood district. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Verse?
I ask that you move ordinance 76-0-14, increasing the number of Class D liquor licenses for DMK Burger Bar and Fish Bar at 815 Noyes Street.
Second, I understand there's also been some revisions to the proposal. Am I right?
Yes. I thought she was going to read the rest of it. I'm sorry.
I'm Michael Quinn, I'm the owner of DMK Burger and Fish. If you have any answers, questions, and send a revision to the office about just accepting the beer and
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have Director Farrar, would you bring the committee up to date as well as our residents?
Yes, following the last committee meeting, there was a meeting convened with the prospective applicant and Mayor Tisdall, Alderman Fisk, and Alderman Holmes. And the discussion centered around this precise issue that's been framed both at last committee meeting and tonight. So with respect to those discussions and the legislative record that's been made to this point, the Law Department drafted Section 2, which restricts the licensee, the prospective licensee, to beer and wine only. It does not necessarily foreclose the possibility of liquor being served. There was discussion at this meeting whereby the applicant could petition the local liquor control commissioner, the mayor, to extend to liquor that is just an application prospect that is prospective only, and nothing in this ordinance would create a vested right for the prospective applicant to serve liquor at any time. So what we did is we took those discussion points and put them into the ordinance that's before you today. So the major change is Section 2 tonight, 76-014.
Alderman Rainey and Alderman Brathwaite.
Well, I would just like to say to the owner that I think that's very responsive of you and appreciate your help with this.
Alderman Brathwaite.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess, Director, for our quick question, at our last meeting, Alderman Rady made a recommendation or a reference to the Law Department seeking to change or clarify the current liquor license. Do you have a timeline on when we will?
The Law Department, through me, will bring that back for discussion at the next Administration and Public Works Committee meeting on July 14th.
July 14th. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Alderman Rainey?
I thought we agreed that at this meeting, based on the fact that we held this and that you all were going to have a meeting, that we would move to suspend the rules and approve this. No?
I don't think so.
I thought we talked about that.
I don't think we did.
Because we held this in committee. We didn't introduce it. Well, I'm going to leave that to the prerogative of the aldermen, men of the women, people of the ward, but I thought that we had discussed that. I
don't remember that. I don't.
Maybe I just wanted that.
Maybe that's what that was. I think maybe that might have been a little wishful thinking, but Alderman Fisk, do you, because it's in her ward, so that's why
I know,
I'm asking
well,
her,
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
I'm not
no.
gonna-
Okay, now we'll
I
just
didn't hear
move through
what
the
you
normal.
said.
She said no.
No.
So we'll move through the normal procedures, meaning that it will come back then on the 7th, 6th, what is July? Whenever we meet again, in 2 weeks.
July 14th.
Is that our next meeting?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess it would be. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about, too many committees. I'm thinking about human services. Okay. So, okay. Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. If you want to address it, you'll have to come to the podium so it can be recorded because it's being televised for our residents. And identify yourself, please. Thank you.
I'm Michael Kornick. I'm the owner of DMK Burger and Fish and a resident of Evanston. And I just wanted clarification. Does this mean that we're not going to know at this hearing that we need to come back on July 14th?
It will
for this
be,
particular license issue?
yes, I mean, final, yes, but it's being introduced tonight. And if it votes through tonight, you can probably be assured that it's going to happen on the 14th.
Thank you very much, Alderman.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, it's been moved in second. Did I do that, Janelle? I'm sorry. I'm lost tonight.
Did we vote? I don't.
We've already done that? Okay. All right.
Did we vote, Madam Chair?
We didn't vote.
Because
no.
I sort
It's
of-
been moved in second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. We have no other items for discussion, and we have no communications. So is there a motion to adjourn?